Hello, everybody. Scott Golden with the World Class Championship Wrestling Review Series. We're here to close out the month of May 1987. Some new talents, some returning talents, and some enhancement matches closing out the month of May. Boy Tony versus Tony Atlas. Atlas has been here for a while. Boy Tony, though, is new. He is a flamboyant talent, wearing kind of interesting colors, meant to make fun of Boy George the singer. In this particular gimmick, he's trying to be effeminate, wearing kind of a pea green singlet and pink pants. Green and pink is the color of the day. He's flamboyant, he's flashy, he's an interesting talent. Needless to say, Tony Atlas using his power. Atlas is a guy who I wonder about them giving him championships just because of his drug habit, but at the same time, at this point, the territory's falling off a bit. Hip toss by Tony, and he sends Tony, meaning Boy Tony, he sends Tony Atlas to the canvas a couple of times. Power advantage, obviously, to Atlas. It goes without saying. Big back body drop by Atlas, and the begging off of one Boy Tony is what we see over the next several minutes here. Irish whip, and again with the advantages through cheating. Obviously, Jim Holiday is the manager. Looks to be on the outside. Boy Tony does not do terribly well here, although he does get to go to the top rope, manages to get tossed off. Holiday on the outside gets his man almost disqualified. Big splash in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, and 3 for Tony Atlas. Then we move on to Brian Adias and Skip Young. Adias reinforcing his heel tactics, turning against Al Madrill last week. Adias has been a heel for, over a year now? Anyway, Skip Young, relatively not new to the area, but new to a singles push at this level. Takes over with headlocks and controls the head for several minutes. Then we kind of go in the direction of Young taking over and working the head for several more minutes. Reversal by Adias. Basically, the first 3 minutes of the match is nothing more than headlocks, hammerlocks, a little bit of brawling. Picks up in the middle of the match by Young. Punches and kicks and the like. Adias does manage to get his attempted victory. Big body slam by Young. Young goes to the outside of the ring, tries to get an advantage with a top rope maneuver, but Holiday shoves him off. It's interesting. He puts his hand on Young's backside, and Young literally takes a jumping flip bump off the top rope to give Adias the victory. Doesn't look very good. Not a good finish. Cousin Jr. against Barry Collins. Collins relatively unknown in the area. I think he's been here once before. Says he's from St. Louis, but not a big deal. Junior has been here a little bit, and we kind of see him moving more towards being, I don't know if I'd say a perennial force, but more of a force. Out wrestling by Junior early, as baby faces are wont to do. And Cousin Junior eventually does get the victory in quick order. He manages to do that through, believe the top rope splash is the way he gets there from here. Big back body drop by Junior, and again we see kind of the big country boy concept coming into play here as the reason he's so successful, etc. and so forth. Hip toss off the ropes, and it is clear, extremely clear, that Cousin Junior is going to be victorious here this week. And he gained his victory relatively simply, back kick, and then we see him go and hit a rather large splash, 1, 2, 3. Then we move to a Bruiser Brody promo discussing Gary Hart, promising to take all of Hart's men out. Doesn't matter if it's Alvarez, doesn't matter if it's Nor the Barbarian when he returns, doesn't matter who it is. He does this while carrying a barrel. Then in your semi-main event, Alvarez and Spike Huber. Huber, a guy who has been a big deal over the last few months, let's say 3-6 months maximum. Anyway, but he is a guy that's good for Perez to be in there with. Perez does get a rather big shove rather quickly. Huber sent to the outside. They do some brawling, they being Perez and Huber on the floor. Perez, a fantastic heel. Reminds me a little bit of the late Gino Hernandez here. And I know some people will be insulted by the comparison, but I think body language charisma, I think he has something. I know he doesn't as a talker, but these are the dying days of this territory. We're what? Let's just round off June, July, August, September, October. We are less than a year and a half away from the Fritz getting out of the territory. Less than as a body slam, they're less than 2.5 years away from the end of the territory. Body slam by Huber, and then an arm drag. So it's an intense thing. Nothing necessarily worth going out of your way. You've got to see at this juncture. But at the same time, Alvarez is a guy that if you've never seen him before, worth going out of your way to study a little bit of the work of. Huber stays on the arm for several minutes. We then kind of see kicks and cheap shots by Perez. Perez not willing to take any bit of a backward step. Hard shots and a bit of a more brawling style and a drop kick to top that off by Huber. Huber on the receiving end of a body slam, and a big elbow drop misses for Perez. Perez does not seem in any stretch to get a clear advantage. Also understand we're going into the almost main event time of the program, and Perez gets a cheap victory here, uses the ropes as an advantage. A match we've seen many times before, the Rock and Roll RPMs and the Fantastics to close out the program. This is to be expected, as this tag team feud is kind of, in some ways, carried the undercard or mid-card of the territory. Rogers pairs off with one of the RPMs. Fulton comes in, brawls around with him a little bit. The RPMs are inundated here, and we then see Fulton stay in there, hit some tackles, drop down tackle, get it again type stuff. Big slam by one half of the RPMs. Percy Pringle is managing the RPMs now. I don't know when that began, but it's here. And I think that's an interesting add-on and pairing. Big double back body drop. Fulton goes for the victory. Doesn't quite get where he wants to with that. Cut off the ring for the next couple of minutes. The Fantastics do this very well. Fantastics probably the biggest tag team in the territory since the Midnight Express, I would imagine. And again, tag team wrestling now is no big deal. I mean, you can't even. Although AEW is trying, I still wouldn't say they have a team. Well, Dax and Harwood. So they've got one team that's at the level of an 80s tag team. But anyway, dropping suplex by one half of the RPMs. RPMs cut the ring off on the Fantastic, specifically in this case Tommy Rogers. Then they go to a double down and tag off to Bobby Fulton. Fulton gets tripped by Percy Pringle, and the referee goes down one count, and Tommy Rogers comes in, hits a leg drop, and then a trip from the outside there. Fantastics with a roll up. 1, 2, 3 for the win. We end the month of May in world class on that note. We'll be back with more right after this.